So let's start off, of course, with Winds of Winter and where he is. Well, good news and bad news. On the one hand, he does seem to be at the editing phase. He's not sick. He's working on the books as we speak. As I said, he was supposed to bring it out in 2020. That's what he said would happen. It still hasn't happened. But in terms of the excerpts, some of which are available online as well as on his website, he cautions that he is going to be changing quite a few things from the free excerpts that he's made available. So on one hand, it's great that he's giving us all this free material, but if you've heard a lot of these prediction videos using that as sources, we have to be careful because apparently a lot of stuff will be changed in its final form in Winds of Winter whenever it comes out. I myself am sort of two minds of whether he's taking too long or too short, because I found a lot of Dance with Dragons really disappointing. Maybe he rushed it out and maybe he should have taken a little bit more time on it, so I feel kind of torn. But that's where he is with Winds of Winter. He's sort of more in the editing phase, and hopefully he's just got to do a couple of final edits and more or less the book will be finished, and then he'll just polish it and then it'll be published. Now, in terms of Game of Thrones proper, he gives some good news that Game of Thrones, in terms of the HBO projects, are moving forward. Apparently they're starting to cast people. They are getting ready to do things on the production front. So the crisis has constrained production to some degree, but they are casting people, and so those things are revving up. So it probably won't happen, for some time, but those GOT projects at HBO are apparently still happening. But paradoxically, everything outside of GOT is actually slowing down, and he says that really there's almost no movement on all his writings outside of Game of Thrones. So for instance, Sand Kings, Fever Dream, and things like that, which he's optioned to various production companies, apparently are not moving forward, or if they are, they aren't really actively moving, at least according to him. I'm kind of torn on this as well. I think it's sort of, in a way, good things, because those are sort of my dream projects. If I could do something like Sand Kings, which was done once with The Outer Limits but hasn't really been readapted, or Fever Dream, which has not yet been done on the big screen or live action. On the other hand, it is an interesting thing that even though his name is kind of a brand name, it's not necessarily something that people would want to do. So it's a kind of interesting paradox of being George Martin. Now, I know some people would say, well, what about the Night Flyers project? Well, yes, the Night Flyers did come out, but apparently he really didn't have much to do with it. Apparently they were able to just do the project without really any of his input. He did sort of sanction it, and the people behind the Night Flyers were very nice to him, but that's not really an authorized GRRM project. I'm just speaking of the projects he controls legally. So even if it has his name attached to it, it's not necessarily his. I'm only talking about his projects. So if you do see something that's by, quote, George Martin, it may not really be his. It just, contractually they're able to use it and adapt it, but it's not officially a George R. Martin project. I have no problem covering that. I'm going to cover the Night Flyers, but technically speaking, it's not a GRRM project. It's sort of a fantasy project which just uses his name. So to recap, GOT, HBO is moving forward. Non-GOT things, not moving forward. And he is still working on Winds of Winter and his house, and apparently he's not sick, so he's ready and able to do it, but it's going to take a while before the books come out. All right, this has been GRRM analyzed on where George is with Winds of Winter and HBO. Thanks for listening. If you like the content, please hit the like button. Please leave a comment below. Consider supporting the work on Patreon. Thanks for listening.